All right, so get ready, because today we're diving into some serious relationship drama that really got people talking online.
Oh, this is going to be good. I love these.
So it all started on February 22nd, 2025.
Okay.
A Reddit user went to, the irrelationship advice subreddit,
Classic.
right, with a situation that, well, it sparked a pretty heated debate.
Nah, always a good sign. What happened?
Okay, so picture this. Late night cuddle session.
Okay. I'm intrigued.
Accusations of, well, let's just say inappropriate behavior are flying around.
Oh.
And to top it all off, a potential breakup.
Wow. All the ingredients for a juicy deep dive. Lay it on me.
So the post title, it's a doozy. It's called My GFF 22F snuck out of our bed to cuddle with her brother 22 meters on the couch in the middle of the night, and now she's mad that I'm mad.
Oh, wow. Okay, yeah, I see where the drama is coming from.
Let's just jump right into what the original poster had to say.
Yeah, let's hear it.
Okay, so he writes, so I've been dating my graph for about 6 months. She's amazing, beautiful, thoughtful, sweet, smart, etc. I really lucked out.
Starting off strong. Smitten even.
Right. She lives with her brother in kind of a shitty apartment, so we don't spend too much time there.
Okay. Makes sense.
We do hang out with her brother sometimes, and he's cool, a funny guy, and she really likes him, obviously.
Obvious being the key word there.
They are pretty touchy-feely, which I always thought was kind of weird. But then again, they're twins, and I don't have any siblings, so I figured I just didn't get it.
Interesting. Already some hints of discomfort there.
Yeah. I didn't put too much weight on it overall, whatever.
Yeah.
Famous last words.
Right.
That is, until I spent the night at hers. We usually don't. She only has a full bed, and I have a king size. And I woke up in the middle of the night, and she wasn't next to me. I thought she went to the bathroom or something, but she was gone like half an hour. So finally, I got up and went into the living room, and she's in there with her brother's head on her lap, and she's like cuddling him and petting his hair.
Oh, wow. Okay, yeah, I see where this is going.
Right. Of course, immediately I was like, what the fuck? And they jumped up, surprised.
That's so boy.
He seemed embarrassed and ran back to his bedroom without saying anything.
Yeah, I bet.
She wasn't embarrassed, though. She was mad. She dug into me immediately.
Oh, this is getting good.
I said, I get they're twins, but she is supposed to be cuddling with me, not him, and it's completely inappropriate to have his head in her lap.
Yeah.
She said he had a nightmare and she was comforting him, but like, he isn't 5 years old. He is a grown man.
Right. I mean...
She said I would never understand and literally kicked me out of the house right then. It was like 3 in the morning. I've been texting her, but she said she needs space. I seriously feel like I'm taking crazy pills. Am I really out of line for thinking this is inappropriate and weird?
Oh, man. That's a lot.
Right, I know.
There's so much to unpack there. I mean, just, wow.
I know, right?
Well, for starters, that language, I mean, you can feel the possessiveness and, well, maybe some insecurity right there.
Oh, yeah.
He's saying she is supposed to be cuddling with me, not him.
Right.
Almost like he's seeing his girlfriend as, like, a prize or something, not a person,
Yeah.
with her own relationships.
Yeah, and I mean, I have to say, his reaction does seem pretty extreme, like especially since he knows he doesn't really get the whole twin thing.
Right, exactly. I'm kind of wondering if maybe there's like a deeper issue going on here, like trust issues, insecurity maybe.
Yeah, good point. Like he goes straight to anger and accusations.
Yeah, instead of, maybe being curious or, I don't know, concerned.
Right.
That's a red flag for me. It's like maybe he has trouble, understanding other people's perspectives.
It's interesting, right? Like first he was just a little uncomfortable with how touchy-feely they were.
Yeah.
And now it's exploded into this whole huge fight.
Okay, so let's see what the Reddit community had to say about this, because they're going to have opinions.
Oh, they always do.
All right, so one of the most upvoted comments was from a user called Moonfire77. They wrote, I've always been fascinated by twins, so I've watched loads of documentaries about them, and I'm aware of how extremely close they can be.
Okay, yeah, I've seen those documentaries too.
Right. Their closeness is something that non-twins cannot experience or fully understand.
Interesting.
In a comment, you explained they had a rough childhood together, and in another comment, you said all they had was each other.
So they had a strong bond out of necessity,
Exactly. This is incredibly important as it explains why they're so close and accustomed to comforting each other. Keeping in mind their history, all they had was each other, and that they are twins, and that he had just suffered through a distressing nightmare, it was not inappropriate or weird of her to comfort him in that way. They jumped up surprised because you startled them by yelling at them what the hell is going on, as you mentioned in a comment.
Ah, so he kind of created the awkwardness himself.
Maybe. He seemed embarrassed because of your what the fuck horrified reaction, and because, due to cultural conditioning, men are often embarrassed to appear vulnerable and in need of consoling.
Yeah, that's a good point. Like, guys aren't supposed to need comforting, are they?
It's sad, isn't it, how society kind of tells men they can't be vulnerable.
Yeah, it is.
Okay, Moonfire77 continues. As you are uncomfortable with their relationship and wrote, she is supposed to be cuddling with me, not him, you need to let her go. You also need to apologize to the twins for misinterpreting their innocent behavior and shouting at them. Wow, Moonfire77 really went there.
Right. Straight to the point.
No beating around the bush there.
Definitely not. I kind of agree, though.
Yeah, I mean, Moonfire77 is bringing up some really important points, like the unique bond twins often share, especially when they've gone through tough times together.
And they're basically saying the poster overreacted, yeah.
Yeah.
Like, he turned a sweet moment into something awkward and embarrassing.
And it's like they're saying, the brother was embarrassed because of the poster's reaction, not because of the comforting itself.
It's like he made a big deal out of nothing.
Right. Okay, let's look at another comment. Current Best 7596 wrote, literally, they were basically at one point that connected to their mother, which connected them. Like, how could they not be close enough to cuddle like that?
Okay, yeah, that's a good point. I mean, they shared a womb. It's like the ultimate bond.
Right. And then they go on to say, I used to rub my brother's back for hours, who is 9 years older than me, BC. He was so sick coming down from heroin, and I felt terribly for him.
Oh, wow.
Heavy stuff. We're only half siblings, but I just love my brother, and I'd have done anything for him. If he needed a kidney, it would have been me that donated.
Really puts things in perspective, doesn't it?
Right. Like, think about the lengths we go to for the people we love.
I love him. So if that's how I feel about my half-brother, I can't even begin to imagine how a twin feels about their other twin. Inseparable, I would imagine. Asking them to separate is kind of controlling and codependent.
It's like they're saying, don't mess with that bond.
Right.
I get that she is your girlfriend, but what are you afraid of? That they are going to have sex? Pimon now. Do you really think that of your girlfriend? I'm not trying to put words into your mouth. I'm just trying to get you to see the bigger picture here. Please try to put yourself in someone else's shoes.
So they're like calling him out directly?
Well, yeah. They're saying, look, what's the real issue here?
It's powerful,
Yeah.
The way they bring up their own experience.
It is. And it kind of makes you think, right? Like, this might not be about a cuddle at all. Maybe it's about something deeper.
Yeah, good point. So I've got these two really different viewpoints, but they both seem to agree on a couple of things. The twin bond is special, and the poster might be overreacting.
Exactly. It's fascinating, isn't it? How one little story can spark such a big discussion.
Totally. So what do you think about all of this? Like, where do we go from here?
Okay, well, there's definitely a lot to unpack here, and it's clear that this situation has sparked a broader conversation about, relationships, family dynamics, and societal expectations. I think it's important to consider the psychological factors at play here, like what's really going on beneath the surface.
Okay, yeah, that's a good point. So, like, what psychological factors do you think are relevant to this Reddit post?
Well, one framework we can look at is attachment theory. It suggests that our early childhood experiences, they kind of shape our attachment styles. And those styles, they influence how we relate to others, especially in, like, romantic relationships.
Right. I've heard about attachment styles before, but can you, like, remind me how those might apply to this whole Reddit post situation?
Sure. So there are 4 main attachment styles: secure, anxious, avoidant, and fearful avoidant. And each style, it has different patterns of behavior, different ways of seeking and responding to closeness, especially emotional closeness.
Okay, got it.
So, for example, let's say someone has an anxious attachment style.
Okay.
They might be more prone to, like, insecurity or a fear of abandonment.
Okay, yeah.
Which could kind of explain the poster's, kind of intense reaction to his girlfriend comforting her brother.
Yeah, that makes sense. Like his possessiveness and that whole she's supposed to be cuddling with me, not him thing.
Exactly.
It could be because he's got that anxious attachment style and he feels threatened, by her close bond with her brother.
Exactly. And his, like, quick jump to anger and those accusations, that could be his way of trying to, like, control the situation.
Yeah.
To make his anxiety go away.
Like a defense mechanism or something.
Yeah, kind of. So if he's coming from this place of insecurity, how do you think that impacts his ability to, like, understand and empathize with his girlfriend?
Yeah, that's a good question.
Like, can he even see her side of things?
Right, right.
I mean, when we're all wrapped up in our own anxieties, it can be really hard to see things from another person's point of view.
Right, for sure.
And it seems like his focus is totally on his own discomfort
Yeah,
and not on, like, his girlfriend's feelings or the reasons behind, what she's doing.
totally. And it doesn't seem like he really understands the whole twin bond thing, right? Like,
Yeah.
he even says he doesn't have any siblings. So maybe he just can't grasp how deep that connection can be.
Yeah, absolutely. That's a valid point. The twin bond is something really unique and powerful. Like, often twins share this, like, deep emotional connection and understanding, and it can be really hard for people who aren't twins to fully get it.
Yeah, especially when you think about their shared history, right? Like, Moonfire 77 mentioned they had a tough childhood, and they were each other's main support system.
Yeah.
It sounds like they really relied on each other for comfort and security,
Yeah,
during a difficult time.
exactly. And that kind of shared experience, it can create an incredibly strong bond.
Right.
So it makes sense that his girlfriend would, like, instinctively turn to her brother when he's having a nightmare.
Or right, right. It's like second nature to her. And it also makes you think about how, like, societal norms around masculinity might be playing a role here too.
Oh, for sure.
Like the brother seemed embarrassed and went back to his room after the boyfriend's outburst.
Absolutely. It's like our culture often discourages men from expressing vulnerability or seeking emotional support.
Right. Yeah.
And that can lead to men feeling ashamed or, like, weak when they need comfort, which might explain why the brother reacted the way he did.
So it's possible the poster, like, not only embarrassed his girlfriend's brother, but also, like, reinforced those harmful societal norms.
Mhm.
The ones that, kind of tell guys to stifle their emotions.
Precisely. And this highlights how our individual actions can contribute to, like, larger societal patterns.
Yeah.
Sometimes we unintentionally perpetuate these harmful stereotypes by reacting in ways that reinforce those expectations.
Yeah, wow. This is heavy stuff. It's like this situation is about way more than just a cuddle on the couch. It's touching on, like, attachment styles, family dynamics, societal norms, and the complexities of communication and relationships.
It really is. It's like a microcosm of the challenges we all face in understanding and navigating, diverse perspectives and experiences.
Okay, I want to go back to the Reddit comments for a sec, because there were a couple more that really stood out to me. One commenter, 9 McKenzie, wrote, "You act like they were spooning naked. His head was in her LAPFs. When my 19-year-old son has a bad headache, he puts his head on my lap and I scratch his head for him. He's done that forever. I do the same for my daughter. You making that into something sexual is really freaking gross. And before you say normal family, again, we were a completely normal family too. My kids had a normal childhood with parents who loved them and the whole suburban thing. That you think this was sexual shows you have watched way too much incest porn. You are gross, and I can see why she kicked you out." Wow, this commenter did not hold back.
Nope, not at all. And they bring up a really important point. The poster's immediate assumption that this was, sexual,
Right.
that's a problem in itself. It reveals his own biases and, maybe a limited understanding of what healthy family intimacy can look like.
Yeah, it's like he's projecting his own discomfort and insecurities onto something that might be totally innocent and normal for them.
Exactly. And this is something we see in a lot of the comments.
Yeah.
People calling out the poster for, sexualizing a completely platonic moment between siblings.
Right. Like another commenter, just Demolurking MM, wrote, "You say you had a normal childhood and family, but you assume siblings who cuddle are fisting each other. You did not have a normal childhood if this is the first thought that comes to mind." Ouch. That's got to sting.
Right. Like,
Yeah,
they're really
yeah.
challenging his definition of normal.
Yeah. And this suggests that, maybe his upbringing shaped his views on what's appropriate within families. And it also highlights how diverse families can be. Like, there are so many different ways to express love within a family.
Absolutely. It's a reminder that what might be considered normal in one family might be different in another, and that's totally okay. There's no one right way to be a family.
Yeah, for sure. And this whole discussion, it makes me think about the role of jealousy and possessiveness in relationships.
Oh, absolutely.
It seems like the poster's insecurity and feel of losing his girlfriend are driving his reactions.
Yeah, jealousy is a natural human emotion for sure, but when it becomes excessive, or controlling, it can be really damaging to a relationship. And it's important to, like, be able to tell the difference between healthy concern and possessive behavior.
Okay, so like, what's the difference?
Well, healthy concern is about caring for your partner's well-being. But possessiveness, that's about trying to limit your partner's freedom and, making them only focus on you.
Right. And the poster saying she's supposed to be cuddling with me, not him, that definitely sounds possessive, right?
Yeah, it kind of does. It suggests a lack of trust and like a need to control his girlfriend's interactions with other people.
Yeah.
And that kind of behavior can create a toxic dynamic in relationship, and ultimately it can push partners away.
So how can someone, like, deal with those feelings of jealousy and insecurity in a healthy way?
Well, the key is open and honest communication, like talking to your partner about your feelings and concerns, but without like accusing them or trying to control them.
Yeah, that makes sense.
And it sounds like the poster could probably benefit from some self-reflection too. Like he needs to figure out where his insecurities are coming from and find healthier ways to deal with jealousy and anxiety.
So, like, therapy.
Therapy can be really helpful for this kind of stuff. A therapist can help him, understand his attachment style better, learn better communication skills, and build up his self-esteem.
Okay, so we've covered a lot of ground here. We've looked at the poster's perspective, the reactions from Reddit, the psychological factors involved. What stands out to you as, like, the most important takeaway from all this?
Hmm. For me, it's the importance of empathy and understanding. We all have our own experiences and our own biases, and those things can really cloud our judgment.
Oh, yeah?
Like we tend to jump to conclusions based on what we know, but it's so important to challenge ourselves to see things from other people's perspectives.
All right, like to walk a mile in their shoes.
Exactly. And this case really shows how powerful those biases can be. Like they can create so much conflict in our relationships if we're not careful.
You mentioned societal norms earlier, and I think it's worth diving into that a bit more. How do you think those expectations around masculinity might have influenced the poster's reaction?
That's a really good point.
Hmm.
So, our society often has this very narrow definition of what it means to be a man, right?
Yeah.
It's all about being stoic and independent and never showing any weakness or needing help. And men are often taught to bottle up their emotions and prioritize competition over connection.
Wow, that's kind of sad when you think about it.
It is, it can be really damaging. So it's possible that the poster's upbringing and the messages he received about masculinity played a big role in how he saw the situation.
Right, like if he was taught that men aren't supposed to show vulnerability or seek comfort from others, then seeing his girlfriend comfort her brother might have felt threatening to his sense of manhood.
Exactly. It might have challenged his whole idea of what it means to be a man.
And it makes you wonder if he's ever felt comfortable expressing his own emotions or asking for help when he needed it.
That's a great question. And it highlights how these societal norms can be harmful to everyone. Men are often left feeling isolated and unable to process their feelings, while women might feel pressured to always be the strong ones and provide emotional support.
Yeah, it's like a vicious cycle.
It is.
Yeah.
And I think this Reddit post really unintentionally tapped into a much larger societal issue.
Absolutely. It's a reminder that even these personal conflicts can reflect bigger societal patterns and inequalities.
Okay, so we've talked about societal norms, but I also want to touch on the role of communication in this whole situation. It seems like a lot of the conflict stemmed from a lack of understanding and open dialogue.
Communication is so crucial in any relationship,
Right. Yeah.
but it's especially important when you're dealing with complex family dynamics or different cultural expectations.
Like in this case, the poster said he felt weird about the twins being so physically affectionate, but he never actually talked to his girlfriend about it before this whole incident happened. Right. And that lack of communication probably made everything worse.
Yeah.
When we bottle up our feelings or avoid difficult conversations, it can build resentment and lead to misunderstandings.
Like he kept it all inside until he couldn't anymore. And then he just exploded in a way that hurt everyone involved.
Exactly. And his reaction probably made his girlfriend feel judged and defensive instead of heard and understood.
Right. So what advice would you give to couples who are struggling to communicate about sensitive topics like family dynamics or personal boundaries?
Well, I think the most important thing is to approach those conversations with empathy and respect. Start by really listening to each other's perspectives without interrupting or judging.
It's about creating a safe space where both partners feel comfortable sharing their feelings and needs.
Exactly. And remember, communication is a two-way street. It's not just about expressing yourself, but also about really listening and trying to understand your partner's point of view.
And sometimes it's okay to take a break from a tough conversation and come back to it later when you've both had a chance to cool down.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. Sometimes we need a little space to process our emotions before we can talk things through calmly and productively.
This whole deep dive has been so interesting. I feel like I've learned so much about relationships and the importance of communication, empathy, and respect.
Me too. It's a great reminder that we all have different experiences and perspectives, and that approaching conflict with curiosity and a willingness to learn can really strengthen our relationships.
Okay, so we've analyzed the Reddit post, we've talked about the community's reactions, we've explored the psychological factors, and we've discussed the role of communication. What final thought would you leave our listeners with?
I would say think about your own relationships and how you communicate.
Mhm.
Are there any areas where you could be a better listener or show more empathy? You know, we can all learn and grow from these kinds of discussions and apply those insights to our own lives.
I love that. It's a reminder that personal growth and self-reflection are so important for building healthy and fulfilling relationships.
Absolutely. And by fostering a culture of open communication and understanding, we can create a more compassionate and connected world for everyone.
This has been such a thought-provoking deep dive. Thanks for joining me, and until next time, keep exploring, keep questioning, and keep diving deep